Alright, let's take a look at what it takes to set up a paint gun. So here's that Ford Explorer white we had mixed up, putting it down through the funnel. And this is going to be a filter that filters out the big sediment that could have gotten in the paint. So now we can take our gun and we can head over to the paint booth and get ready for pattern setup. So I got my gun, I got my mask, got my gloves on. Let's head over. Alright, so here I got a little backing that I can use to set up my gun. So as you can see right here is the air control. I want that air sitting right there in the green while I paint for this gun particularly. As you can see, this gun has 2 stages triggers. The first stage is just air, and the second stage is what actually sends the paint down. This knob on the side here is my pattern control knob. By turning it to the left, it really opens up my pattern. And by turning it back right, it turns it down to a bullet size pattern. I then go on the back and I can adjust the fluid. So by turning it in the whole way to the right, it essentially shuts off the fluid. Nothing's coming out. So to paint, I obviously need some fluid, so we're going to back it out and put it back to about where it needs to go. Alright, so let's set this thing up. So as you can see with the pattern control knob to the right, it puts a small bullet size pattern. So I'm going to back it up a little bit, try it again. A little bit bigger, it's forming its oval what I want, but I'm going to want it a little bit bigger with a little bit more fluid. So back out both knobs, and that's about where I want it. A nice uniform oval, solid the whole way through, and really just a good pattern. So I tested a couple times. So now another way to test it is you can do what's called a run test. So I'm going to adjust this air cap sideways so that I can make a horizontal pattern. Now by doing this and forcing more fluid and causing the paint to run, I can see where that pattern sits as far as heaviness of the fluid. Is it heavy in the middle? Is it heavy on the edges? I want to get it to where it's uniform as much as I can throughout the whole oval. So I'll do a couple tests here and I'll get that pattern to where I want it to be. Alright, once I got that pattern to where I want to be, check my air one more time, and I'm going to do some pattern overlaps to make sure everything is spraying good. So you don't want to heel or toe your gun, you want to make sure it's nice and perpendicular to the panel, and get a good solid pattern. 50-60-ish% overlap depending on the paint manufacturer. This happens to be a waterborne paint, which wants a little bit more overlap in the base coats. So I'm going to go down here and get my overlap. So as you can see, I had my patterns. I have a nice uniform lay. There's no lines. You can't see the different stripes or anything like that. And that's what you want in a pattern. So as it dries, I'm going to go over it again, make sure that everything is nice and uniform and the paint gun is spraying exactly what I want to. So when I go to the car, I get a nice clean paint job.